On or around November 2019, I decided I wanted to build an 084 tank engine for my garden railway. I did a little bit of research and made a start. By July 2020, having suffered a really bad bout of COVID back in March, which resulted in hospitalisation, one thing and another, I became a bit bored with this 084 project and decided to move on to something else. It is now June 2021, and come hell or high water, I've tried to take this 084 on a bit further. This video is therefore a look back in time to where I got to back in June 2020, and I'll do a second video showing any progress I happen to be able to make from June 2021. I'm not going to attempt to show every single operation and thing that I did up to June 2020, but maybe just highlight one or two of the key operations. Anything more than that I think will bore everybody silly. Just lining up the end mill with the centre of the first slot that I need in these frames. After that I can work the centres off of the hand wheel and the gauge. Right, hopefully thanks to some fairly careful counting and twiddling of the hand wheel and the dials, I have 4 slots for the horn blocks of the 084 in the frames to the right dimensions and at the right spacing. Time will tell. All the wheels, the drivers and the bogie wheels, were turned on a stub mandrel that had been very carefully turned so that the wheels were a light press fit and ran true. To finish the front and the rear faces of the wheels, however, did require them to be removed from the mandrel and then repositioned for the other face to be got at. Somewhat nervous occupation. Every time I replaced the wheels on the mandrel, I did have to check that they were running sufficiently true. It's going to be a 3-cylinder engine, and at the moment I've only made and put in a cylinder block for the inside cylinder. I haven't made the valve chest or anything. I think I've made a crank axle for the inside cylinder, and there it is. And I think, I don't really know what I'm doing, I think that the 2 outside cylinders, the crank pins will need to be timed at 120 degrees, which means that this one will be 120 degrees that way, and the one on the far side will be 120 degrees the other way. And I guess the question is, how am I going to achieve that? Well, the plan at this stage, so that it can all be undone if it doesn't work, is to lock tight the two driving wheels on the second axle in what I think is the appropriate location, and then if it doesn't work, a little bit of heat means everything can be taken apart. So that's what we're going to try and do. And by now, anybody watching this video will be laughing their socks off, because of course I measured the crank offsets from the wrong plane. So the two outside cranks, instead of ending up at 120 degrees apart, ended up at 60 degrees apart. So I've had to remove the wheels and actually start again, and hopefully this time it'll be right. Thank goodness that the retaining compound comes apart when you put enough heat on it. What a fool. I've got two cylinders to machine up for this locomotive, and I've marked and centre popped 2 bits of brass where the centres of the bores are going to be. One here and one here, and these bores clearly are not in the centre of the blocks of brass, and in fact the bores are also slightly offset from what will be the top valve face of each cylinder. So what you have to do, what I've got to do for the purposes of boring out the cylinders, is clearly to align the centre pop with the centre of the lathe so that I can drill and, if necessary, bore out the bore to start to form the basis for the cylinders. And these cylinders are handed, one for the right and one for the left. This is actually a 3-cylinder locomotive, but we don't need to trouble ourselves at this stage with the middle cylinder. Just rotating the chuck by hand. This has taken longer to do because I'm trying to film it, but literally, and this can apply to any part that can be held in a forge, or frankly in a matter of seconds you can align your dot point, your mark where you want to make your hole or whatever it is you're doing, with the centre of the lathe, literally in a matter of seconds. It's very quick, very effective, and what I really like about it is this affair, as you can see, cost absolutely nothing to make. And the centre of the work, which is where in this case I'm going to bore a cylinder, is running as true as one would wish. Today is the 15th of April 2020. Progress on this freelance 084 has been incredibly slow. I have been working on the Osiris tram kit and things like that, so not exactly that I've been doing nothing, but progress on this machine is not great. Today, I mean, what we've got the chassis, the pony truck, the 3 cylinders are pretty much done except for the slide valves and the steam chest covers. And today I've just been fitting gaskets to the cylinder end covers, 6 in total. Bit of a painstaking job that, but anyway, that's now done as well. So I'm almost at the point of putting the cylinders back in the frames. with a view to trying to sort out some valve gear. Haven't quite made my mind up yet. Sunday the 26th of April 2020. Very slow progress on this 0840, but anyway, here are the 3 cylinders to go in the frames. Just about finished, I think. The steam connections, these are the outlets which will go across the various chests and whatnot. The idea is that they'll be trapped in place using O-rings. I'll probably show that a bit later on. I haven't yet put the steam inlet into the centre cylinder. The plan is that the steam outlets will, that's the outlet, will go from one cylinder to the other, and then that's going to be the blast pipe and up and away. So utilising the steam chest of the centre cylinder for the steam outlet. And then similarly, these are steam inlets. I've yet to put the inlet here. And the steam inlets will come along, and depending on what's going on with the valves, we'll either let steam into this cylinder or that cylinder. That is the plan anyway. Don't know whether it'll work, but who knows. I've used the excellent wheel castings from Walsall Model Industries Limited, and both the tread and the flanges are coned, tapered, whatever the word is, in accordance with prototype practice. The rest of the model is made from recycled, you might call it scrap material, such as cleaned up pieces of rusty steel, bits of industrial shelving, and various miscellaneous bits of brass bar stock bought years ago from steam rallies and the like, when such things used to go on. In prototype practice, often wheel flanges were omitted from one set of the driving axles, and in the case of these large tank engines, that was often the third axle. On the model, I haven't done that. I've often found that when you omit the flanges, I've had odd problems with my awful track laying, the wheels dropping down between the rails and causing a derailment in that way. All the axles, including the rear bogie, have coil springing to help cope with the long wheelbase and my very undulating garden railway track. My garden railway is left outside all year round and doesn't get a vast amount of maintenance, and frankly the track sometimes more closely resembles a sort of Indian hill railway wandering about all over the place. The rear bogie does have provision for side play, but as yet I haven't fitted any lateral springing to control that. It's easy enough to fit, and I'll review the need if I ever get the locomotive to work. The valve gear to the outside cylinders is wow shirts, and the plan, as yet not implemented, is to construct some sort of conjugated gear a la Sir Nigel Gresley's conjugated gear to work the inner middle cylinder. At bed chassis stage, the 3 cylinders, which are set very far forward, have created a somewhat unbalanced locomotive chassis with the weight very far forward, but I'm hoping by the time I fit the boiler, the side tanks and all the rest of it, the weight distribution will improve. The next steps on this engine will be to figure out Sir Nigel Gresley's conjugated valve gear for 3 cylinders. If I manage that, I'll then finish off the steam pipe work and try and run the engine on air to see if everything's okay. And if that's okay after that, I guess it's plate work, boiler, smoke box and the like. I'll then do another video, but I'm not setting any time scale on this, so don't hold your breath. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you soon.